I think it's safe to say for me, Bo Burnham's Inside is one of my favourite pieces of content in media. It was funny, sad, mainly sad, had great songs, great visuals, and really came out at a perfect time when the world was struggling with a global pandemic. Recently, I rewatched this special to see if it held up from the unique circumstances of lockdown and to see if it wasn't just another lockdown fad film. And I'm happy to say that in my opinion, I think this film is timeless, but also stuck in time. Let me explain. I think on one side, in some ways, it's always going to be in the same unique bracket of projects that came out at that time. This film wouldn't have been made without the pandemic, and it is worth noting. That being said though, this film is so much more than other films from a similar time because of its overall message and the way it goes about its subject matter. I saw a lot of people complaining when COVID films started being released. They didn't want to be reminded of the awful time during the pandemic, and rightly so. And whilst Bo Burnham has nods to it, when mentioning he can't get his hair cut, and it being the reason he can't perform live again, the film isn't constantly reminding you of COVID-19 and its awful impact. Ignoring some of these offhand comments, it's mainly just a piece on loneliness and isolation, which isn't just common in a pandemic, but something people experience every day. On top of that, unlike other lockdown films, I think the limitations this film had when shooting also made it better. Bo being forced to the confines of one room definitely made the film more engaging, as he was constantly finding new ways to shoot the same room and keep it interesting, in comparison to other lockdown films, which featured Zoom calls or masks. Now, I'm not saying these things weren't necessary at the time, but in terms of those films being timeless, it holds them back. And so, I've mostly spoken about the film being timeless, which it is. An excellent piece on isolation and confinement. But also, there are some things that do make it stuck in time. For one, as previously mentioned, the nods to lockdown, although aren't big, are still there. And for two, I think any film that has niche time references isn't going to age completely well. Will kids in 100 years understand song lyrics about carpool karaoke and Logan Paul? Your guess is as good as mine. And also something mentioned before, even though it's not the film's fault, coming out when it did will always make it synonymous with that time. In my opinion, Bo Burnham's Inside is in a way stuck in time, with references that will eventually be dated, nods to the pandemic people may want to forget, or won't remember in years to come. But it's timeless in the fact it touches on isolation as a whole, and isn't just specific to a certain time period, with amazing visuals, incredible songs, and limitations which only make the film better. This was actually the first thing that introduced me to Bo, and since then I've gone back and watched Bo's other stuff, and I think it's safe to say Inside will most definitely hold up, a bit better than some of his older material. And although I've discussed whether I think this film will be timeless or not, I do think that either way, the legacy of this special doesn't matter. Bo Burnham at the time helped so many people with feelings of isolation, and continues to help people with an amazing special that for the most part will continue to hold up for years to come. Inside came out at the perfect time for me, and a lot of other people too, and its impact has been great. I still listen to a lot of the songs now, so much so I even own it on vinyl, so I'm excited to see whatever Bo does next. But either way, Bo wouldn't want to know,